In the tenebrous depths of the ancient forest, where gnarled trees cast eerie shadows and the air hung heavy with secrets, there lurked a malevolent entity known as Raphanasuan, the thirster after shadows. Raphanasuan was a creature of darkness, its form a twisted mockery of humanity. Its skin was ashen and translucent, its eyes glowing with an unholy fire. Its long, spindly fingers ended in razor-sharp claws, and its mouth was a gaping maw filled with jagged teeth. Legend had it that Raphanasuan had once been a mortal man, driven to madness by the loss of his beloved. In his despair, he had sought solace in the forbidden arts, delving into the darkest recesses of necromancy. Through forbidden rituals, he had transformed himself into a creature of shadow, forever cursed to wander the night in search of sustenance. Raphanasuan's hunger was not for food or drink, but for the very essence of life. It preyed upon the unwary, draining them of their vitality and leaving behind only empty husks. Its victims were often found with their faces frozen in expressions of terror, their bodies drained of all color. One fateful night, a young woman named Anya ventured into the forest in search of medicinal herbs. As she wandered deeper into the darkness, she felt a cold shiver run down her spine. The trees seemed to whisper her name, and the shadows danced around her like malevolent spirits. Suddenly, Anya heard a faint rustling behind her. She turned cautiously, her heart pounding in her chest. There, in the dim light, she saw a pair of glowing red eyes staring at her. Fear paralyzed her as Raphanasuan emerged from the shadows, its twisted form towering over her. Anya screamed and tried to flee, but Raphanasuan was too quick. Its claws extended, and with lightning speed, it seized her by the throat. Anya's body went limp as Raphanasuan's icy breath filled her lungs. As the darkness consumed her, Anya felt her life force being drained away. Her vision blurred, and her thoughts grew hazy. In her final moments, she saw Raphanasuan's eyes glowing brighter, its hunger satisfied. With Anya's life extinguished, Raphanasuan vanished into the shadows, leaving behind only a trail of broken dreams and shattered hopes. The forest remained silent, its secrets forever hidden in the darkness. But the legend of Raphanasuan lived on, a chilling tale whispered among the villagers who lived on the edge of the ancient forest. They knew that the thirster after shadows would always be lurking in the shadows, waiting for its next victim. As the years passed, the forest grew darker and more dangerous. The trees seemed to twist and writhe in agony, and the shadows seemed to take on a life of their own. The villagers became afraid to venture into the forest at night, for they knew that Raphanasuan was always watching. One day, a group of brave hunters decided to confront the creature. They armed themselves with silver weapons and holy relics, and they ventured into the forest, determined to rid the land of its evil. The hunters tracked Raphanasuan to a clearing deep within the forest. The creature was surrounded by the remains of its victims, their bodies drained of all life. The hunters charged, their weapons gleaming in the moonlight. A fierce battle ensued. The hunters fought valiantly, but Raphanasuan was too powerful. Its claws tore through their armor, and its icy breath froze their hearts. One by one, the hunters fell, their bodies becoming fuel for the thirster after shadows. As the last hunter lay dying, he looked up at Raphanasuan with eyes filled with terror. The creature leaned down, its glowing eyes inches from his face. "Your courage is admirable," Raphanasuan hissed. "But it is futile. I am the thirster after shadows, and I will never be defeated." With those words, Raphanasuan drained the last of the hunter's life force. The forest fell silent once more, the only sound the rustling of leaves in the wind. And so, the legend of Raphanasuan continued to be passed down through generations. The thirster after shadows remained a constant threat, lurking in the shadows and preying upon the unwary. The villagers lived in fear, knowing that their lives could be extinguished at any moment. But even in the darkest of times, there was always hope. For as long as the legend of Raphanasuan was told, there would be those who dared to fight against the darkness. And one day, Perhaps, a hero would emerge who would finally defeat the thirster after shadows and restore peace to the ancient forest.